Welcome back to the John Fredericks Radio Network. You're on with Colonel Mike and Dr. Michael Schur, and on the line with us is Senate Finance Chairman Senator Craig Blair. Senator, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Glad to be on.
Sir, how was the legislative session?
It depends on your perspective. As far as I'm concerned, it was a pretty good session. We managed to do something that hadn't been done in 30 years. This is my first year being the finance chairman, and we were able to get our budget passed out before day 60, and that's been unheard of in the past. It used to be that we'd be there for a week for budget week, and it happened to coincide the same time that the boys basketball tournament was going on as well. That's a little secret that was taking place when the Democrats was in charge. And it cost the taxpayers $35,000 a day when that was going on. We didn't waste it this year on that. And I'm proud of that fact. That was a big deal. So now the other flip coin side of it is that we had teachers down there in unions and God knows who all else at the Capitol chanting every day. And the odd part about that is that the strike didn't really take place until after we passed a pay raise. It actually had become law where there was a 4% pay raise, 2% this year, 1% and 1% consecutively following the years after. And that wasn't good enough. So our governor went out into the public and had 3 meetings with different teachers throughout the state, and I've come back and changed mind and said he wanted to do 5% and to increase the revenue estimates by $58 million in the same day. Well, on the Senate side, we didn't quite go along with that. You can. In West Virginia, we have a strong governorship, so the revenue estimates can actually be changed like that, but it doesn't mean that they're accurate. Mm-hmm. And so we did the 5% across the board for all teachers, state employees, and school service personnel. And by the way, the state employees were the ones that weren't striking. They were going to work every day and doing their job. And I insisted that they'd be included on this. And when it was over and done with, we didn't increase any taxes at all.
Wow.
And there were some cuts in government in some of the things that we wanted to do to grow our economy. Your intro music was talking about the coal fields in West Virginia. Mm-hmm. And that has been one of the problems that we've had is that, we've got less than 50% workforce participation rate in the state of West Virginia. And so many people are tied to just one industry, so that lets you become subject to huge ups and downs. Here in the Eastern Panhandle, Procter & Gamble is coming in. We're going to have over 1,000 jobs, good-paying jobs that are not cyclic. And so we need we're trying to change that in West Virginia.
How's that campaign going, Senator, on Visit West Virginia? I think it's $20 million investment for tourism.
Well, no, that didn't happen either because of the pay raises. The campaign from that standpoint, tourism has received the same amount of money as what they did last year. They were wanting an additional $20 million to create that campaign, but that was one of the casualties from this. Now, the governor's $58 million of revenue estimates materializes, which I still have reservations about. We were short of, I think it was another $12 million, $13 million last month in our revenue estimates, so we're back to $28 million short for this fiscal year. We're not heading in the direction that we'd like to be heading on that, and it could change from that standpoint. But if the $58 million does materialize, we can go back in and supplement that and put that into tourism and commerce and things like that.
Well, you got a good free plug because Money Magazine said Harper's Ferry was the #2 place to visit in the country. How's that?
We'll take all the free plugs that we can get. If I had my way about it, every time you come into West Virginia, you make it look like you're entering Disney World. I would have the greatest welcome centers there is, so that people would want to stop and at least see what's going on, because there are a lot of great things to do in West Virginia. Just a phenomenal amount of things, but we're so stigmatized, and we failed to take credit ourselves for that matter. And, I guess that's life, the way it is, but we've got a lot of great people here and a lot of interesting things.
Economically, the Eastern Panhandle, you mentioned about P&G. What else is going on with the Eastern Panhandle? I mean, the growth is big. You got the bridges being widened over there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on here. In fact, with P&G, you've got feeder companies that are coming in as well that'll make either jugs or the plastics. It's a real boost, not just to the economy of West Virginia here in the Eastern Panhandle, but we're more of a microcosm here for Hagerstown, Maryland, Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, Martinsburg, West Virginia, and Winchester, Virginia. That little section of 81 and 70 there makes it so that we're very, very strong in what we do. Now, the Eastern Panhandle in the Martinsburg area have been actually strangled by the way the laws were in West Virginia, and you could see the growth in our three surrounding states, but in Berkeley County specifically, you could see where we were a bedroom community, where we didn't have a lot of industry that's wanting to locate here, but people were building houses. That's the industry that we had, so that to come here and live on the cheap. The fact is that we're changing those laws in West Virginia, the tort laws, the tax laws on how we go about doing the taxes. These things has been steadily taking place, and I've said this all along, that is what is good for West Virginia is actually great for the Eastern Panhandle. We're the economic barometer, so to speak, that on what you do in West Virginia, sure, it takes much, much longer to locate a P&G down in the coal fields of West Virginia than what it does where you've got Interstate 70 and Interstate 81 and population growth instead of decline. So the great things are actually happening. It's sort of sad that we had to pass out the 5% rather than grow our economy a little bit further. We're doing that. We're laser being focused on getting people back to work in West Virginia, no matter where you live at.
Senator, this is Mike Scheuer. I wanted to ask you, does your Department of Education or do the local school boards have some kind of a system for evaluating teacher performance?
Well, yeah, there is, but that's another sad commentary on what we've got going on. Our teachers may have been ranked 48th or 49th in pay, but then student performance on the statistics that I've seen is like ranked 48th, 49th as well.
I think that it's that way over all the country, sir. You know, all the teachers make a lot of noise and they support, keep their kids out of school so they can go marching. But so many young people you run into seem to know very little about much of anything, especially about their country.
I am with you on that. I got booed, actually, for when I made a floor speech this year because I was talking about, okay, we've done this pay raise, but we're not through. And we're not. As long as that I'm still around, I am going to be pressing for improved student performance. And there's ways that you can go about doing that. That's my wife is actually union. She works for the state of Maryland, but her focus when she's part of the bargaining team and all that is the fact that, wait a minute, we're trying to improve the performance of what we do. She works in the jail system and make things better. Well, I never heard that at all when we were dealing with the teachers. And that is one of the things that, it makes it so much easier for money to come your way when you can actually see performance. And this is one of the things I was telling her when she was going through this. I said, make your pay raises secondary. And I'll talk about the things that actually will make it so that you can do your job better. And they did that, and the state of Maryland gave them a 2% pay raise and surprised the heck out of them. Yeah. And it's like, this is the way human nature works. But when you bully your way into a pay raise, and then you're not looking at wanting to change the system in such a way that makes it so that the students can do better, well, I've got concerns about it. But again, that's on my watch. And I have every intention. I've joked about telling them to take me off as the finance chairman in the Senate and move me over to education chair, and that would make a lot of people nervous. Let me tell you that, because there's one thing that I have in my quiver, and that is follow through. People know that if I take on something that I
you persevere, sir.
Deliver results.
Senator, how much is the investment? I know that you have a great package for the kids that finish high school. What is it, about $150,000 investment when these kids finish high school to get to college?
You know what? I don't know the number off the top of my head. What you're talking about is our Promise Scholarship.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a second.
And the Promise Scholarship is divided up. When it's over and done with, it's about $46 million. It's 29, then it's supplemented again with excess revenue to get it up to right around $46 million. And then people, or the students that reach a certain criteria, they have to have a certain score on SAT and to have hours of public service and have a GPA of X amount in high school. That's when you qualify for the Promise Scholarship. And we've been doing that now quite successfully, for that matter. And the bad part about it is that once we graduate them from
they go out of state.
College, they go out of state. They're our number
so you
one
lose the investment. Yeah,
is our talent, and this is what I've been driving at all along. Is that, look, we got to be able to get jobs here so that you can keep your talent here, and when you do that, then that's when you have a vibrant, growing state.
Yes, sir. Do you put a lot of money into vocational education, sir?
They do. They have the Rumsfee Institute, I think it is, in Berkeley County, right?
Yeah, James Rumsey is a vocational technical institute, and then we actually have what's called Blue Ridge Community Technical College, which does similar things to what James Rumsey does. In fact, I'm a graduate of James Rumsey. I'm not a college graduate. Never went to college at all. But I'm a master electrician, a master plumber, a refrigeration engineer. The list goes on and on. I've done welding, electronics, computer programming. All this is because of James Rumsey. Yeah. And I'm a big advocate of that. This year, we had a bill that would have cost, which was a casualty of the teachers' pay raise as well. It was called the Community and Technical College Bill, that would have made it so that the state would have actually, after you exhausted all your other resources, the state would actually went in and paid for you to be able to get an associate degree. And there's a couple reasons for that, for why we wanted to do this. And it only had a $7 million price tag. But it took students like me. You can correlate the drug usage to boredom in high school into the 9th, 10th, 11th grade areas. I can remember it. I didn't want to read Moby Dick and Old Man in the Sea. That was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to read tech manuals and things like that and learn how to do things with my mind and with my hand. And I got bored when I was being forced onto that stuff. And then what ended up happening, you end up drinking, smoking, doing drugs, whatever it may be. We see that. It correlates directly with boredom in the schools. And so if we're able to stop that and give those students an opportunity, then you're less likely to have that take place, and they can see light at the end of the tunnel for that. Well, it didn't make it through this year, and it wasn't just for students in high school. It was also for displaced workers. And that's another thing that businesses, we want to make ourselves look good to businesses. So if you've got a population base that has an increase of 20 or 30% in the associate degrees over a 10-year period, that tells business that, wait a minute, we've got a state that's got something going on here. We want to locate there. We want to expand to there. But that fell by the wayside for this year.
Also, sir,
I do anticipate that coming back.
Also, sir, didn't P&G put together a curriculum with the Institute to train people for jobs that they're going to have?
Yeah, P&G has partnered with Blue Ridge Community Technical College for just that.
How's that,
Mike? In fact, it's a shining star for how things can actually work together. And again, that's another thing that takes place in the Eastern Panhandle. We're so far removed from Charleston that we don't have a tendency of going to Charleston with our hand out saying we want this, want that. We actually figure out how to get things done together by working together, and that is just one prime example of where P&G and Blue Ridge work together.
Senator, we have a caller, Mary, calling in from Richmond, Virginia, who wants to ask a question. Do you mind taking a question?
I hope I can answer it.
Okay, go ahead, Mary. Nice to talk to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great. The weather's fine, and you have Senator Craig Blair, Senate Finance Chairman, on from the best of West Virginia. Go ahead, Mary.
All right. My question is, I always wonder, the teachers, when they finally get their raise, whether it's 4%, 5%, or whatever, do they keep that, or does the union come right behind them and say, okay, fine, you've got this, we are going to take a percentage of that, so that way they have more money to give to the Democratic Party?
Uh-huh. Senator? He's a Republican, by the way.
Well, yeah, mine is, I know where the unions stand, where their heart is.
Correct.
So I just want to know, do the teachers get the full benefit of the raise, or is part of it taken away from them?
No, that is part of it is taken away because the wages based dues are based on how much you make on that. And I could be wrong on that, but in most cases, when you're talking about union dues, it's not saying, okay, you're going to pay me $200 a year or $500 a year. It's going to be a percentage of your paycheck. That way, the more you make, the more they get.
Senator, we're down to the last minute and a half. Mary, thank you for your call. Senator, just in case you retire from politics, did anyone ever tell you look like Chill Wills' younger brother? Did you ever see Chill Wills?
No, I haven't been told
Chill
that,
Wills was a famous...
I told her I've looked like a lot of things lately.
Well, Chill Wills was a famous cowboy actor, and he acted in a lot of movies with John Wayne. So whenever you finish with politics, you get out there to Hollywood and put some cowboy movies together.
Well,
Senator Craig.
Sorry about the guy's looks.
Senator Blair, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Happy to come on anytime.
Thank you, sir. We'd be glad to have you back again.
Well, that was a great call. That was a great call. Thank you. Mike, how much